Even though I'm getting ready to move to Oregon in a couple weeks, and I'm basically dumping all my trash before I leave LA. This even includes making videos in regards to Los Angeles, California, also known as Los Scandalous Shitfornia. I want to just make a series of videos talking about LA, saying things I hadn't quite touched up on. I might have. I already have a previous series in which I was talking about the reality of living in LA. So the whole purpose of this video is I'm just gonna pose a few questions um, about LA, like that a lot of people tend to say, like the ones who really like LA, because I'm pretty much gonna counter all of that. You know, the question is like, what is so great about LA? You know, and a lot of people you come into contact with, well, you know, I'm talking about the men here, men who come out here from other parts of the country or the world, they will tell you, um, first and foremost, they love the women. The women, that's what they come out here for. Okay. So yeah, that's true. You know, you have a lot of beautiful women out here, but my whole point is, what good does that do you? Like, I mean, are you just window shopping? Because these are probably some of the most narcissistic women you ever run into. They will flake on you at the drop of a hat, and like it's natural, and it's even unnecessary. You know, I don't know. Men here, I thought when I was in Tennessee, you know, only men back there really cater to the women, but men cater to the women out here too, just kind of in a slightly different way, but they still put them on a pedestal. I think that's just, you got simps everywhere. It doesn't really matter what part of the country you're in. But yeah, these women is I think it's just more, there's something into it, you know, like they get tainted when they come to LA. Either LA is the type of city that will taint anybody, men, male or female. But we're talking about the women here. The women will get tainted like so easily here. It's so easily corruptible here. It'll corrupt your system. You will change. You will turn into something that you was before you came. If you let it, if you allow it. Yeah, it just it sucks the soul out of you living here in LA. You know, it's stressful. Um, Both men and women would complain that it's stressful here. It's the stressful, just the whole living here, the culture, having to work, go to work. I mean, talk about taking like 2-3 hours going to and from work each day. That's like a total of 5 hours sitting in your car going to and from work. So I don't know. I don't think any of that is worth the women here. You know, I've been told like there's like so many women here that you can't lose. But what good does that mean? You know, it's so many women. You know, like you just got to have a different purpose. You got to have a purpose other than the women. You just go around hollering at so many different women every day, and you know, these women here, they want something. It's like they're really psychotic with their standards, because these women out here know that, well, they say there's a lot of money out here, and there is money. There are people out here who have money, but it's not as many people as you would think. But there is money out here, so a lot of these women are just so hypergamous. They're holding out for the richest guy, oftentimes, and a lot of them will try to do that, or that's just what happens here. So I don't think it's really, the juice is worth the squeeze. So yeah, I mean, I could go on and on more about that, but yeah, there you have it with that. And then the next thing, the weather. Okay, yeah. So right now, it is about 69 degrees, and as you can see, it's like very sunny. It's not like, it's like partly cloudy, but it's mostly sunny. Yeah, it's pretty sunny. It's mostly blue skies out here. 69 degrees. If you're like in the shade, it's kind of cool. But if you're in the sun, you're a little warm. Like, I'm actually warm, a little warm right now making this video, sitting in the car. And it's in the middle of March. And I know most of you all, depending on where you live, some places it's still like snowing and snow on the ground. It's cold. But I'm telling you, this weather right here is like overrated, because even though I love this good weather, I'm used to it. I was born and raised, I grew up with it. But when you're an adult and you live in a place where, like, well, depending on where you are at, if you're in LA, your average house, your average 3-bedroom, depending on the neighborhood, it starts at like $500,000. That's in the ghetto. That's in South Central LA. You know, 450,000 if it's like in Watts. You know, in Inglewood, it's about $500,000. If you want to live in a part of town where it's not ghetto, it's clean, you ain't got to worry about gangbangers hitting you up, asking you what set you from, what neighborhood you from, and all that raggedy bullshit. If you don't want to like see prostitutes walking around, you know, selling their nasty asses, if you don't want to see crackheads walking around like, you know, mumbling and scratching themselves, looking like idiots, then that kind of house, you're looking at least $1 million minimum, if you want to live in that kind of neighborhood. And I'm not even talking about a fancy rich neighborhood like you guys probably would think, like Beverly Hills, or which is also overrated, or Santa Monica, or some really affluent area. I'm talking about your basic, decent, so-called middle-class neighborhood. And there's really no such thing in LA as middle class, but your basic middle class, decent neighborhood. You know, so like, how are you gonna live here? That's my whole point. How are you gonna afford to live here to enjoy this good weather that you say is so great? And also, there are other places in the country that have decent warm weather. May be pleasant, it may not be pleasant. It depends on what you consider to be nice weather. Yes, it's not humid out here, but maybe some people just want warm weather. Okay, there's plenty other places that have warm weather throughout most of the year, usually down south or Texas. You do have Arizona, Vegas, parts of New Mexico. There's places you can go to for, I'm going to say, warm weather. That's more affordable than California. That's more affordable than LA. You know, so there you have that. And then the weed. Well, okay. So I'm not a weed smoker. I think I've smoked weed like only a handful of times in my life. And that was just because it was like a social event. It was a social gathering for me, you know, around other people who smoke weed. And I did that just to fit in. And that's really not me. I'm not the type to fit in with anyone. I don't even try to fit in with anyone usually. And half the time when I'm around people who smoke weed, I don't even smoke weed with other people. Well, actually more than half the time. So that was just a few occasional decisions, you know, the decision that I made. But this weed thing, I noticed that certain type of people really are into smoking weed, you know, and I've paid attention to the weed smokers. Most of these people who really smoke weed, most like 80%, they tend to be on the lazy side. They tend to be on the lacking ambition side. You know, now the other 20% of people I've seen who smoke weed, okay, they don't quite fit that. They actually, you know, work a regular job, and they keep a stable job. They, you know, they don't let the weed affect them. Okay, maybe 30% instead of 20%. And some of these people also probably have medical conditions, like actual medical reasons for smoking weed. So I'm not knocking that. If you have a medical reason for smoking weed, then yeah, by all means do that. I do support that, the uses of smoking marijuana for that. But you have other people who just smoke marijuana recreationally, and you know, these people just maintain like a normal life, and okay, I totally respect that. But you do have a certain segment of people, really is a large segment of people that I'm talking about, who really fit this stereotype. I mean, there is a reason why you have a stereotype of a weed smoker being lazy, shiftless, unemployed, unreliable, lacking ambition, lacking follow through. And you have a lot of people like that here in Los Angeles, in LA. And you tie that in with the other element, the other raggedy elements of LA. And that's why LA is just one big raggedy piece of shithole of a city, of an area, you know, socially, you know, especially socially. You know, so yeah, you have a lot of people who fit that stereotype, and a lot of them come from wherever they come from in the country, or parts of the world, and they just squat down here in LA, and they help make LA more raggedy. So I mean, if you're into that, I mean, okay, there are other places that have this marijuana thing going on, and I'm not completely against marijuana. I just don't smoke it myself. I don't have a medical reason to do it, and that's not my recreational influence that I choose to do when I want to like have fun. I prefer to drink, and I try to keep that within, you know, reason. So, but yeah, but this video is pretty much an overview of the series I'm going to be doing, the tfornia, the Scandalous Sh series. And so I'm going to make some more videos talking about LA. And that is all I got to say on this matter.